Hello and happy Labor Day to all of the hardworking patriots that watch Nightly Scroll. If you have the day off, thank you for spending your day off with me. If you're working, keep up the good work. I am taking the day off today, so Andy has kindly put together a best of Nightly Scroll. So if this is your first time tuning in, it's a great way to see what the show is all about. Hard-hitting news off the top, culture stories, conspiracy theories, and viral videos. So for all of my homies who scroll with me every night, we can reminisce on some of the greatest hits together. I hope you enjoy. Well, I want to get into the news of today about Bryan Kohberger. He was the Idaho 4 murderer, disgusting human being, despicable human being. He was sentenced to 4 life sentences without parole earlier today. And he pleaded guilty to the murders of those 4 University of Idaho students back in 2022. And he pleaded guilty to that earlier this month. And Ethan Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, they are the 4 that were murdered in that house, in that university house. So him coming forward and admitting to this and pleading guilty spared Bryan Kohberger from the death penalty. So him admitting to this, that was sort of this plea deal. And he's still going to jail for life. He's going to die in prison, but he's not getting the death penalty. And I mean, 4 life sentences in a row, without parole, like he's not going anywhere. He's going to spend the rest of his life in jail. But the families of the victims delivered very emotional statements at the sentencing earlier. And I want to play you a video from Kaylee Goncalves' sister, Olivia. Watch this.
The truth is, the scariest part about you is how painfully average you turned out to be. The truth is, you're as dumb as they come. Stupid, clumsy, slow, sloppy, weak, dirty. Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your fucking ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely a mic drop moment from Olivia. It's such a moving moment because I don't have siblings, but I could only imagine losing your sibling, someone that you grew up with your entire life, close in age. You look up to your sister, you fight with your sister, and then one day your sister's gone. And your sister's gone because some deranged lunatic murdered her and her friends in the middle of the night. And you're never going to get like all of those childhood memories. It's like this person that's so important in your life is just gone. And she probably felt like there are so many things to say to this man, but she picked him apart. And I think tried her best to make him feel the way that she's going to feel without her sister for the rest of her life, and their mother and their family members, the sisters that are going to grow up the rest of their lives without their sister. And the unfortunate thing is I think he's so sick in the head. Like he kind of smirked at the end. Like I don't think that it really gets through to these people because they're so deranged and so mentally ill and so cold and psychopathic that they're like, he's a sociopath. I mean, he just doesn't have compassion. They don't have empathy. But I think Olivia Goncalves did a really good job of picking apart the reasons why he probably felt like a strong man. He probably felt like he was this infamous, famous person, right? He got all of the, she was saying, don't feel important. Like just because people said your name, like you're a loser, you're weak. And my sister would have kicked your fucking ass. That's what she said. And I love that because it's probably true. And here is what Kaylee's mother said. She was delivering a message From their youngest daughter, Aubrey, this is what she had to say also.
Quick message from our youngest daughter. Aubrey wanted to say, you may have received A's in high school and college, but you're going to be getting big D's in prison.
Wow.
Courtroom laughter.
Pretty iconic. And, after hearing these statements, because this is Olivia's statement was the first one. Aubrey's statement was the second one that was delivered on behalf, their mother delivered it on behalf of Aubrey. After hearing these statements and how strong and fearless these women are, I believe what Olivia said when she said Kaylee would have kicked his ass. Well, your Cuomo impersonation is good, but your Trump one is better. So I want to give you, if you don't mind, we're going to head into a more fun section of the show. I want you to, if you can, do some Trump impersonations on the spot. If I give you a topic or something to go off of, can you give us something?
Of course. Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
You're very talented.
Favorite.
Okay. So first I saw this tweet, and do you know what a labubu is?
No.
A labubu it's like this little, do you remember troll dolls from when in the 90s?
Yes.
It's kind of like the revamped version of a troll doll, but New York City influencers are getting them and they're very expensive and they're putting them on their designer bags. It's a dumb trend. But everyone's talking about labubus, and then someone posted this on Twitter. If we could just post this. Someone said, I just want to hear Trump say labubu. It'd be the funniest pronunciation of anything ever. So can you give us your version of Trump saying labubu?
Well, you look at it, I get along very well with labubu, right? You look at labubu, and there's a lot of people who have a lot of boo-boos right now. Crooked Joe got a boo-boo when he fell down the stairs. They call it the triple fall. He fell once, twice, and a third time. He also got a boo-boo when he fell on the stage. It was a sandbag. I called it the ghost of Corn Pop. It took him down. And then he was at the Vatican and he left a boo-boo on the floor. We called that one Operation Tootsie Roll. You're not supposed to talk about it. But that was more of a doo-doo than it was a boo-boo. But you look at La Boo-Boo, I get along well. I have to say that. I get along very well.
So freaking good. So good. All right, this next one. You go to McDonald's. You're President Trump, of course. They give you a Filet-O-Fish when you ordered a 10-piece chicken nugget. What do you say?
Well, I would say, what the hell is this? First of all, I ordered the McNuggets. And by the way, when we started McDonald's, I got along very well with Ronald McDonald. We were going to found it together. It was going to be called Ron and Don, or they were just going to call it Donald's. But I said, no, this is going to be yours. It's McDonald's. But I want the McNuggets. I came up with the idea for the McNugget. I invented the McNugget, and we did a tremendous job together. But they gave me a Filet-O-Fish. We're going to say this order is wrong. We don't want the Filet-O-Fish. We want the 10-piece McNugget. We actually want a 20-piece McNugget because Rosie O'Donnell is tagging along, and she eats a lot. I can tell you that.
Incredible. Incredible. All right. President Trump had a very viral tweet from, I don't even know when, 2012, when he said he's never seen a thin person drink Diet Coke. So what would be President Trump's reaction to finally seeing a thin person drink Diet Coke?
Well, I drink Diet Coke a lot, right? I have a Diet Coke button on the desk. A lot of people thought I was calling myself huge, but there's an exception to every rule. I got along very well with Zeus and Apollo. These are Greek gods. And they said to me, sir, what is your secret? You look incredible. I said, I play a lot of golf. I eat a lot of McDonald's. The Big Macs are out of control. The Diet Coke, no calories, right? No calories. And so I put Zeus and I put Apollo and I put Neptune, got along well with Neptune. I put them on my plan and they look great. But everybody else who I see drinking a Diet Coke is huge. They're slobs. They look like Chris Christie or Stacey Abrams, right? Who, I used to call her the Beast of the Southeast. But now we call her, because she's a bunker buster, 30,000-pound bunker buster. And we dropped her on Iran with that gap between her teeth. She was whistling all the way down. Now we call her the Beast of the Middle East. So, and she drinks a lot of Diet Coke, among other things. But no thin people drink Diet Coke except yours truly. And I happen to be in phenomenal shape, I can tell you that.
You are very talented. You are quite the talented impersonator. Sean, thank you so much for being here on Nightly Scroll. I appreciate you being here so much. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks so much.
I want to take a quick break to tell you about our sponsors for tonight's show. First up is Fatty 15. As you know, if you follow me on social media, you know I'm in the gym like 6 days a week. I don't want stiff joints. I want to have good sleep. And you, like me, probably want to find something that'll help you feel younger and slow down aging. So I am excited to share with you guys C15 from Fatty 15. It is the first essential fatty acid to be discovered in more than 90 years. Fatty 15 co-founder Dr. Stephanie Van Watson discovered the benefits of C15 while working with the U.S. Navy. And based on studies, we know that when our cells don't have enough C15, they can age faster. We don't want that. So Fatty 15 can help repair and protect age-related damage to cells and help activate pathways in the body that support our overall wellness. Fatty 15 is a science-backed, award-winning, 100% pure C15 supplement that comes in a gorgeous reusable jar. I am having so much more energy since Fatty 15 sent me some to try, and it is really helping me get through my long days. Fatty 15 is on a mission to help optimize your C15 levels and to support your long-term health and wellness, especially as you age. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/scroll and using code SCROLL at checkout. I also want to tell you about Boll and Branch. You know those common myths we hear about cold weather causes colds or we only use 10% of our brains? Here's another one. Thread count. People think that a higher thread count means better sheets, but it's really just a measure of fabric density. And when it comes to sheets, what actually matters is the quality of the thread itself. That's where Boll and Branch comes in. Their sheets have changed the game for my sleep. They are crafted with premium organic cotton, making them feel so soft and luxurious. Plus, they are built to last. And the best part is they only get softer with every wash. I can attest to this. I've had Boll and Branch sheets for a long time, for years, but Boll and Branch just sent me a new pair and I've already washed them maybe 2 or 3 times and they're already getting softer. They are so cozy. So it is not about how many threads they are. It is about how they make you feel, and they make me feel really good. So if you're after sheets that offer both luxury and durability, Boll and Branch is the way to go. Trust me, you will never look at your bed the same way again. You're never going to want to leave it. Feel the difference an extraordinary night's sleep can make with Boll and Branch. Get 15% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com/scroll. That is Boll and Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/scroll to save 15% and unlock free shipping. Exclusions apply. Visit bollandbranch.com for details. And back to the show. $15,000 per hour? How many hours are they flying? You know, where are these campaign stops? If he's got to use a flight, he can't even drive, then it's got to be multiple hours for the flights. So yeah, I don't even really want to think about adding all of those numbers up. But AOC is the woman who authored the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal and all the climate stuff, it just goes out the window for convenience sake, of course. And the issue, by the way, isn't that they flew private. I actually don't care if you fly private, but don't be a climate alarmist. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't tell other people to save the planet because you know you won't. Bernie Sanders and AOC, they're not doing anything to save the planet, but they'll yell at you so that you go do it. It's no surprise that people are waking up to the Democrat Party's lies. Why don't Democrat voters who are also concerned with climate change and eating the rich, why don't they call Bernie Sanders out? He's run for the Senate in Vermont as an independent since the late 70s, but he ran for president as a Democrat, and he's a self-proclaimed Democratic socialist. He claims he wants to tax the rich. He's rich. He claims to care about the environment. He's flying private. Not once or twice. He's flying private all across the country for the Fight the Oligarchy tour. And he told Brett Baer, this is what we do when we campaign. You fly private. Okay. So he's saying that he's been doing this for years and he's not going to stop. He also mentioned that in that interview that he wouldn't dare stand in line at United with all the sorry people like you and me. That's what he thinks of us. Lowlifes. Bernie Sanders is better than you. His time is more valuable than yours. He wouldn't be caught dead standing in a line. He's got people to yell at. Is this the mentality of a public servant who wants to spread the wealth? I don't think so. I've also seen videos online. People like to expose when they see celebrities at the airport. And recently I tried finding the video on TikTok, but I think the person who took the video deleted it because they saw Barbara Corcoran, who's on the show Shark Tank. She's a bajillionaire, and obviously she's very smart with her money. And Barbara Corcoran was seen flying economy at the airport, just like everyone else, sitting in the seats, in the economy seats, not even first class or business class, just regular old seats. And someone posted this video on the internet, on TikTok, saying, look at Barbara Corcoran, she's flying economy. And Barbara actually commented and said, yes, flying first class or business class is a waste of money. This is why rich people get rich, because they save their money on things that don't make sense. And she said, yeah, first class and business class, total waste of money. I'll fly economy all day long. That's the mentality that Bernie Sanders should have, especially if he's wasting all this money whipping around the country to talk down to the American people, all while he's feeding them lies. It's totally pathetic, in my opinion. And I don't really know how Democrats don't see through it all, but their slogan, vote blue no matter who, so I guess they don't care. Okay, they have a spousal political alignment clause. And if you are married in the chat, you have to let me know if this is something that you would sign on to and what you think. I need all my married people in the chat to weigh in. This young couple, they have a spousal political alignment clause. We do not believe in political or ideological beliefs changing. It is unfair to change mid-marriage. Is that true? Do you think that?
I mean, it's hard to tell somebody not to evolve intellectually as a person. So,
right. But is it fair to say I don't want to be married to this person anymore if they become a Trump supporter, if they become a Kamala Harris supporter, or whatever? Name the next crazy person.
Justin says it, could be.
Is that valid?
I don't know. I mean, like you love the person, so there's so many more characteristics that transcend beyond what he believes politically.
And I think you have to just have a conversation. You have to grow with someone. You're supposed to grow together in your relationship. You're not expected to be the same people that you were on your wedding day. You've got to grow and evolve together. And someone in the chat said not biblical. Yeah. Someone else in the chat said not everyone talks politics. True. Someone said hell no, wouldn't sign. This dude should run away. Very controlling vows. Pretty ignorant. Okay, so here's more. Income parity requirement. Our incomes must have a 50-50 ratio to prevent financial power imbalance. I don't know how you can plan for this. Like if some person gets a promotion at work, they have to...
I can't take it.
They have to turn it down.
Sorry, my wife makes this amount.
Or how long does the other person have to match the salary? Like if one person gets a promotion, the other person has to get a promotion. You have to have equal. I mean, it's insane. It's totally insane. There's no way to logistically do that.
Yeah, this doesn't feel capitalistic, does it? I mean, this is a
50-50. Also, who wants to go 50-50? Women bring certain things to the table. Men bring other things to the table. Like it's a partnership, but it's not 50-50. It's got to be, everyone's got to bring 110%. That's how it works. And some days you're going to bring 10 and your husband has to bring 90 and vice versa. Like not everyone's going to be at their best every day. Not financially. I'm just saying in terms of bringing things to the table.
Justin is reacting to this next, this next
yeah, so this next one.
Of marriage.
Marriage expiration date. Our marriage expires every 7 years unless both partners want to reapply since we got married young. This isn't like you re-up for a subscription.
Well, what's he going to do? Kick her off the back of that side by side?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a threat. Yeah, if you want to just get married for 7 years and then decide later, don't get married. That's not what a marriage is. Marriage is for life, till death do us part. It's not till 7 years and then we figure it out later.
What do you get to the 7-year mark and was like, for a year, you made 75 cents more than I did.
In sickness and
It's
in
over.
health, unless we're at, 6 years and 11 months, then I might change my mind because I'm about to not re-up this marriage. All right, here's another thing in this controversial marriage. Emotional labor audits. We log time spent on emotional household and relationship tasks. It's important to be even. This is the least crazy, I think. I think logging it is where it gets a little toxic because I don't think that you need to be tit for tat with your partner. It's not like, I did this, so you have to do this. It's like, hey, you're doing this, so let me do this.
Can you imagine
I'll
that
get you
shared
next
note
time.
that they share?
No, it's insane.
It's just like, I smiled at you, sub point.
It's almost like they're
I unloaded
trying.
the dishwasher.
It's almost like they're trying too hard to have this like perfect partnership, and there's no such thing. There's give and take, and there's no way to make things even all the time. Now, here's the next one. Marriage suspension. Either partner can request a temporary 3-month marriage suspension, but only once every 3 years. So not only can they decide to re-up every 7, halfway through, they get to take 3 months off and then do what?
Yeah, just call time out.
We weren't on a break. We did this in the Friends episode. Remember when they took a break? We weren't on a break. Breaks don't exist. There's no way to do a break and have it be a clean break.
This has
way.
no shot. This has no. Bless them. I hope they're
we're
happy.
not done.
Can you imagine the kids' contracts?
Oh, we're not done.
God. 10 years hard labor.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to have some schedule with the kids doing dishes and the kids doing whatever. They're going to run a tight ship. And now they also have a surveillance-based relationship monitored via tracking apps, phones, computers, devices, etc. So they are spying on each other at all times. Whew. That's crazy too, because you're spying on each other all the time. What if they're during this 3-month hiatus where
Then
they're
you
not
got
in
a
a
drone in the
relationship?
sky. You're getting a drone.
Do they get to check each other's phones for what they did in the 3-month hall pass? I don't know. Now, this is crazy too. Marriage approval boards must be approved by a family board before marriage. No toxic family members allowed. So they pick and choose what family members get to essentially arrange their marriage or approve of their marriage.
So they have a board, like a board of directors.
Yeah, but it's their family.
Do they convene every 7 years, or how does that work?
Yeah. Right? Do the parents get to decide, like, oh no, my son gets to take a break and date someone else for 3 months?
So if they get pissed off at Elon, like Tesla, like Tesla's getting, are you going to vote him off? I mean, does the board get to, you are no longer married to this guy. The board has spoken.
How many more slides are there? One more. Okay. State enforced marriage caps only marry once in their lifetime. If the marriage ends, remarriage legally forbidden. This is insane. They get to cheat on each other for 3 months every 3 years. They get to decide if they want to re-up or not.
You have to make the same amount of money.
If they decide to not re-up, they can never get married again.
What? These are the kind of people that you see on Love Island.
These people are getting married and I'm not. I swear, I'm not that crazy. Former Secretary Clinton on Jessica Tarlov's podcast. She has a podcast called Raging Moderates. I don't think she's a moderate. I think she's a raging something, but it's not a moderate. Anyway, here we go.
I personally believe that if he can, Trump is going to try to stay in office. I don't say that lightly, but I think all the signs are there. This is, I used to, as Secretary of State, going around promoting democracy and free and fair elections. I would say you can't have a one and done election. In other words, somebody does get legitimately elected, as he was. He lost legitimately in 2020. He won in 2024. It was much more unclear in 2016 for all the reasons why we still litigate that election. But nevertheless, he won in 2024. He has no constitutional right no legal basis to run again. Do I believe that he's got his, little team working at the Heritage Foundation or wherever they work these days to try to figure out how he can? Well, declaring an insurrection is certainly, a tried and true tactic of authoritarians. So I don't think we're out of the woods on being able to hold free and fair elections in 2026, despite their efforts to literally change the playing field with these last-minute gerrymandering decisions.
They have to... First of all, they project all the time, Democrats, specifically Hillary Clinton, but all of them. They project so hard. They say that Republicans are threatening democracy. They are election deniers. And they always bring up January 6th. And it's like, you need to look in the mirror. You need to look in the mirror. Hillary Clinton in that clip said, President Trump won fair and square in 2020 and in 2024, but not in 2020. Not in 2016. So she's like, yeah, Kamala lost fair and square, but not me.
I'll give her that. She's been consistent on
Very
denying
consistent.
the fact that she lost the 2016 election. And it takes some cojones to get on a podcast that I don't know how many people watch, but it's going to be nationally clipped. Obviously, we're covering it. With all of the stuff that is legitimately coming out right now.
I know.
Say that. It just shows you
she and Bill are being subpoenaed over the Epstein stuff.
And you're talking, just shut up,
Stay
woman.
out of the news. I don't know. She can't help herself, though. If someone asks her to go on a podcast and she can yap about how she won or she thinks she won, she's going to do it. This woman is going to be in a nursing home one day telling some poor nurse about how she was the president of the United States in 2016. And this poor nurse is going to shove some oatmeal in her mouth to get her to shut up. Okay, time for your nap, Secretary Clinton. Yes, you were the president. Yep, you won fair and square in 2016. Someone's just going to have to placate her while she's, rolling around in a wheelchair or something. That's going to be her reality. But, I think she's talking about these Trump 2028 hats that he's selling. Again, he is a master troller. This is an ongoing joke. He posted that video when he was president the first time about how he's going to be president in 2020, 2032 and all the other ones. And it went into the 2070s or 2080s, the 3000s. I mean, he's just he's trolling. And he has already said on camera, by the way, I think it was an NBC News interview that we played so many times on this show, that he's not running again. He is passing the torch to someone new, someone young. He's ready to breathe new life into the MAGA movement and pass the torch. But by Hillary Clinton planting this seed that we can't trust him and his cronies, and they're going to try to steal, the next election or that's going to be their narrative and their playbook for why Republicans win again or stay in office. It couldn't possibly be the fact that voters have woken up to all the lies that they have told for years and they are leaving the party in droves. They are going to blame it on it's Trump. It's Trump's fault. They stole the election. I mean, this is their playbook. They say that it's us, but they're projecting. Special Assistant Attorney General Devin Hogan Flanagan and her friend Veronica Hannon, they were asked to leave a restaurant in Newport, Rhode Island. It was called the Clark Cookhouse. And I can only imagine what kind of disruptions they were involved in before the officers arrived. But let's watch this video.
Your body came off. Protocol is that you turn it off. If a citizen requests it to turn it off.
You guys just want to know? Do you want them trespass? Anything we can do. Yeah. Trespass? Yeah. I just need trespass. Got to know.
Not trespassing. You haven't notified us that we're trespassing. Number one.
This is the Assistant Attorney General.
Number one. Of
Rhode
I
Island.
don't arrest you guys.
You're not going to arrest us. Number two
So let's
is
leave.
that
We got to go. We got to go.
protocol
Let's go.
is
Let's
the
go.
citizen protocol is if we ask you to
I
turn
don't
the
want.
body
I don't
cam
want to
off.
deal with this. Let's
Okay.
go.
No, I understand you don't want to deal with it, but the
Let's go.
protocol is, and your protocol is if I ask you to turn off the body cam, you have to turn it off, and that's your protocol.
She's a lawyer, so she knows.
Well, that's lawyer stuff, so that's not true. So we got to go.
No, it is. That's law.
I'm an
What's she
AG.
saying?
I'm an AG.
Good for you. I don't give a shit. Let's go.
AG.
Not leaving.
I'm an AG.
Let's go. You're not. She's not being arrested. Let's go.
I'm not being arrested. You're putting me in cuffs. I'm not being arrested.
Do you have any weapons on you?
No, I'm an AG.
Her badge
You're
is in the car. You want to go get a badge?
Let me tell you something. You're arrested.
Get the hell out of here.
Buddy, you're gonna regret this.
Yeah.
You're gonna regret it. I'm an AG.
Get your feet in the car.
Now her friend is kicking her feet like a toddler. The cop is trying to close the door and she is flailing.
Get your feet in the car.
Tantrum.
You're a grown adult. You're acting like a kid.
No!
Someone in the chat said, break her foot. Literally.
Absolutely. Slam the door.
Slam
What's there is there.
Slam the effing door on her leg. Yeah, F around and find out. But yeah, so she annoyingly reminded the cop in that video probably no less than 75 times that I'm an AG, I'm an AG, I'm an AG. And then her annoying ass friend is like, she's a lawyer. She's a lawyer. So annoying. Truly, I'm embarrassed to be a white woman. I'm embarrassed to be of the same species as these ladies. I shouldn't say ladies, children. But their Sunday scaries had to have been so bad. I tried stalking their social medias. They had to just go completely dark. I tried looking up she's the Special Assistant Attorney General of Rhode Island. Her LinkedIn, done. She had to cancel it. She had to delete it. They're so drunk in this video. I can only imagine how annoying they were being at the restaurant to prompt them to be kicked out by restaurant staffers. Again, grow up. This is narcissism too. This woman is obviously accomplished in her career, but the fact that she cannot help herself but to tell these police officers how to do their job and what their protocol is, she got 3 too many martinis inside the restaurant, and she started acting like she was everybody's freaking boss. This is toxic feminism. It is toxic femininity. It is toxic girl bossery. That is what we just saw in that video. And she may lose her job because alcohol is one hell of a drug. And whatever, maybe she was on drugs as well. I don't know. But the actual Attorney General, Peter Nerona, said yesterday that the Assistant Attorney General will face an unpaid suspension if she is kept on. He's still deciding what's going to happen to her. I say, pack your freaking bags.
Listen,
she's a problem.
You know what I think? Hey, that's fine. Don't suspend her without pay. You know what I mean? Pay her $9 an hour and give her 1 year of being a garbage woman in the state of Rhode Island. And every single morning, all of her route gets clipped up and she gets posted on the internet throwing garbage from a can into a truck. She still gets paid by that's a municipal wage. Get paid by the city. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like the elitism in this is absolutely horrible. Ridiculous. And she needs to come down and realize like, you're a normal person. Lady.
Reality.
You're not that big of a deal.
Big time.
Here's my garbage.
Yeah, no, seriously. And it's just disgusting. I mean, you're working as an assistant attorney general. You have to know the law and you have to know how to act with police officers present. You know that you're doing something right. And I'm talking about you. You know that you are doing something right when there are members of the school board who want to kill you. There was a member of the Maine school board who threatened to kill you. So what happened with that?
So we were, open records request. It's FOIA, but it's open records request. And we were looking for unethical conversations between the school board and Health Reach. And we had open records request, these text messages that the school board members were having. And one of the school board members, his name is Matthew Lillybridge. He was texting with his fellow school board members, all the ones that want the health clinic. And it was maybe about a month and a half after Courage is a Habit got into this district, and we were, pounding them pretty good. And he said, if he shows up, I'm going to answer with an AR-15 and a Doberman. This is a school board member.
Oh,
and we caught him saying that on text. Yeah, an AR-15. Now, Hayley, when we found this on open records request, it was pretty funny to us because He could have handled that differently. He could have said, if Alvin Louis shows up in Maine, I'm going to punch him in the nose, or I'm going to give him a piece of my mind, or I'm going to get in his face. We'll see how much courage he has. Nope. He went right to the AR-15 and going to sick his Doberman on me.
Liberals.
But this has a happy ending, though, Hayley.
The tolerant left.
The tolerant left. This is the empathy and inclusion that we always hear about. But the good news is we found this. And we found this on open records request. And I kid you not, when he said this, he was running for re-election for his school board seat. And I'm not kidding you. I know your listeners are like, come on, there's no way that's true.
You would think you'd want to be on your best behavior if you're running for re-election and maybe not threatening to kill people.
Yep, that was his response. That was his response to someone like me to say, hey, maybe parents don't want you making decisions for their kids. Is that so much to ask? Nope, not AR-15. Anyway, so he was running for school board, and we found this maybe about a month before his election. And we made sure that everyone knew who he was and his temperament. And even as an incumbent in a blue area in a blue state, he lost his re-election seat. Well, so he is no longer on that board. So that's one less vote for the clinic. So the lesson here is, if you talk crap and we find it, I promise you,
there will be consequences. Colbert's show, they announced that they're going to wind this down, but he got a lot of support. Here is a video of some of the protesters that showed up outside of CBS studios in New York. Watch this.
Trump must go! Colbert stays! Trump must go! Colbert stays!
Refuse fascism. Colbert forever, this woman's sign says. 8647, there it is. There it is. Under his eye, and they have the CBS logo that has the eye.
Trump must go!
CBS sucks. I'm just reading off the signs if you're listening and not watching. But I want to talk about Colbert stays, Trump must go. And again, you all know how I feel about protests. I love the First Amendment. I will defend your right to use it. I don't protest because I'm busy and I'm employed. Most conservatives feel the same way. I think protests are a waste of time. I think it's a waste of cardboard and markers. I think it's genuinely stupid. I respect your right to do it so long as it is peaceful, but I think it's a waste of time. That's where I stand. You all know that. Protesting outside of CBS, demanding Trump must go, is objectively a waste of time.
It is a waste of time. Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely.
Who are you yelling at? Like, these people, they just yell anything into the ether at anyone who will listen. That doesn't make any sense. You're standing outside of CBS. Trump must go. End fascism is the group behind this protest. None of this makes sense. Colbert's show was hemorrhaging money. In between $40 to $50 million a year. And unrelated to that, CBS settled a lawsuit with President Trump because they lied. They lied and deceptively edited Kamala Harris to make her not look so stupid. So Trump's lawsuit was totally valid, but these people are just standing, all they see is this is Trump's fault. They buy into the hubbub that, like, for some reason they think that Colbert was like Trump settlement collateral. It's asinine.
So if I'm at the briefing, I stand in the aisle, and that's a whole other kettle of fish that I'm sure I've complained to you about before, Hayley. In the aisles, that's where the new media stand. And new media honestly just means any of the new outlets that aren't like legacy outlets that are in the briefing room that don't have a seat. And so we stand in the aisles, and it kind of is first come, first serve. So if you get there, you hold your spot. And at the beginning, there was some kerfuffle because sometimes you would get there, you'd hold your spot, and then someone would show up and try and stand in front of you. And, I'm the oldest girl in a big family. I'm not going to let that happen. So I was
You're like, I'm getting my spot.
So you try and really nicely be like, hey, excuse me, sorry, I've been here for like 2 hours. You mind if you stand behind me? And most people would say, sure. There were a couple people that would look me in the eye and be like, no. And then you kind of have to have a conversation about that. And it's very, eat or be eaten, because everyone wants to get their question and you need a good spot. And if you want Caroline to see you, then you have to be towards the front of the room. But, it's settling down now more. You can, you don't have to be as aggressive about your spot. But then once the briefing starts, obviously you can see on television, Caroline will like give a little bit of an opening statement and then she'll call on people. And, it's very frenzied. Everyone's raising their hands. And then afterwards,
because I thought that like the AP this is all changing now because the Trump administration is doing how the Trump administration does. They're breaking all the rules. But I thought it was the Associated Press gets the first question. And then like there are legacy media in the front. Like they'll always give a question to certain outlets. Is that how it works?
Well, I know the AP thing isn't happening. In fact, I sat in the AP chair the other day because the reporter just didn't come.
Because it's empty.
It was so bougie. It was like, oh, look at me, elite Mary Margaret in a chair. Who would have thought? But no, I mean, Caroline will typically call on reporters from all over the room. She definitely does call in a lot of the people in the front row, but she makes a point of calling on people in the back row, people in the aisles, people in the middle. And my friend Reagan Reese, who works for the Daily Caller, she was in there during the whole Biden administration. She never got called on by Karine Jean-Pierre. So she sits in the back row. That's where the Daily Caller seat is. And she's been really happy because she gets called on very frequently. And she says it's shaking it up from last administration.
Yeah, certainly they're focusing on new media in ways that the previous administration did not. What is it like to have an administration that actually gives you the time of day and actually puts in an effort to platform new media, and not only just new media, but also content creators?
Right. It's been super interesting because I was curious how it would unfold and how much access we would actually get. I think an unfortunate reality is that even though the Trump administration doesn't like how the legacy media frames things a lot of the time, you are still going to see the legacy media getting a lot of good stories. You might see like a Politico story saying 7 people familiar with the situation. Well, that's 7 people in the Trump administration who are familiar with the situation. So they're still getting scoops and, they're still talking to people. But that being said, I think there's not anything necessarily wrong with that unless the outlet is treating the administration really badly and lying about them or manipulating them. I think what we're hearing from the administration is that they want to be open to everyone and get the truth about the administration out to the American people. So you're seeing that across the board. They have podcast rows where they'll let you come in if you have a podcast and you can interview a whole bunch of cabinet members. I've had the opportunity to interview a whole bunch of people. Let me the Defense Department invited me to go to Panama with the Secretary of Defense. And, I'm over at the DOJ yesterday doing press conferences with Pam Bondi, just lots of different things that we have access to and we never would have in the last administration. Like, I'm sure Hayley, the amount of times I reached out to the Biden administration with just basic press inquiries. Hey, can you confirm this? Can you tell me this? Can you share that? Nothing. They would only make fun of me. So the difference is just so startling.
Wow. So they wouldn't even answer your questions? I thought that was her job.
I know I'm probably going to get canceled for this, but Camp Mystic is a whites-only girls' Christian camp. They don't even have a token Asian. They don't have a token black person. It is a all white-only conservative Christian camp. If you ain't white, you ain't right, you ain't getting in, you ain't going, period.
So that was just part of the video that she posted on social media, but she's blaming people for caring about this story because the kids were white. And she went on to say that Hispanic kids, if they were Hispanic kids or any other minority, people wouldn't have cared about this flood. Are you insane? Like, seriously, are you out of your mind? So then do you have this video? So another TikTok user pulled up some comments on that girl Sadie's World video. So Sadie's World was the TikTok account of this former Houston city official. And this TikToker posted a video, and she had some of the comments that Sadie's World was making, because this video has been since deleted. So let's play this so we can read some of the stuff that she said.
She further said, if you ain't white, you ain't right. You ain't getting in, you ain't going. And then look at these sick comments she would post when people were commenting up under her videos. Girl, you brought this upon yourself, somebody said to her. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. Sadie has the nerve to say, consequences for what? Maybe it was God's will to wash them little CUNTS away. I'm irate. Then somebody said, pray for Mystic at church tomorrow. And she said, hell no. How can one be so sick in the head? Seriously.
Yeah, so that's Sadie Perkins. She was no, not the woman in the video. Sorry. The woman who said those disgusting things. Sadie Perkins, former member of the Houston Food Insecurity Board. She made those claims about the Camp Mystic in Hunt, Texas, that was completely flooded. Lots of those campers, young girls, are still missing. So this woman used to work for the mayor's office. Mayor John Whitmire said she will not be reappointed to any board. She will be removed permanently from anything that she still sits on. So these people, whether it's the pediatrician who said, Trump supporters deserve this, or whether it's this former city board member who is just obsessed with race and claims that people only care about this story because they're white kids. They're so blinded by identity politics that they can no longer see humanity. To say that you wish harm on people because they voted differently than you is evil and dangerous, especially, by the way, when your frustration about cuts in funding didn't impact this instance. Meteorologists and experts said that the warning times were fine and they were able to predict this weather. They couldn't get the information to the people because they were asleep. That's like a conservative, by the way, saying that Californians who voted for Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom deserve to have their houses burned down in the Palisades because they voted for policies that made cuts to certain departments. We should not feel that way either. That's disgusting. Those comments are disgusting. Doesn't matter how you slice it. So I don't want any of my fellow Americans to suffer from natural disasters. And then to make it about race and religion, what difference does it make? If they were Black Muslims, would it be any more less sad? Would it be any more of less of a loss of life? Of course not. It's a horrific tragedy. Floodwaters don't care what color you are, and they don't ask how you voted first. The same way the coronavirus doesn't go away past its curfew. So bad things happen to good people, and bad people are exposed for who they truly are when they can't put their differences aside to pray for innocent people who have died, and the families who are still holding out hope to find their loved ones, and the families who have lost everything. You have a purpose now, and certainly after everything that you've been through, it's so wonderful. Dixie prays over people who need it the most. And there's a new study that suggests church attendance is up now, and especially among younger people. What do you attribute to that?
Well, I would like to say it's because other people have had some issues like I have had, and it's kind of woke them up, where they see what's going on around the world, and they're like, there's some bad stuff going on around the world. There's some other religions we won't get into that hate us, hate Americans, hate our religion. So I'm hoping that's waking people up and saying, hey, I better get right with God right now, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, So, and that's kind of how I lead my life. I like you said, I found my purpose. A lot of people don't find their purpose. My purpose is to help people with this, with Dixie. That's my purpose. A lot of people don't have that honor or that blessing to do that. Yeah, I went through some bad stuff to figure it out. But now that I figured it out, it's opened my eyes to a whole new different way of how I can live my life. And that goes back to not having to work the 9-to-5 job. Money's not everything. And what's important to me is being able to help people, help the veterans, and helping sick kids. To see her put a smile on a kid's face that's been in the hospital for 3 months, or last April we did a donor walk with a kid that we watched. He was 8 years old and he was going to pass away, and we got asked to do his honor walk in Cincinnati Children's Hospital before he passed away, and he donated his organ. So when I get asked to do stuff like that, it comes full circle, and I realize I'm in the place I need to be through my tragedies, you know. And then when you look at a parent like that that's going through losing a child, what I went through was nothing. That's nothing. So and that's what I try to open people's eyes to. Yeah, you might have some hardships. I guarantee you there's somebody out there going through 10 times harder stuff than what you've ever thought about going through. So I try to put that out to people, you know, and saying, hey, it could always be worse. You know, be thankful to God that you're here, and live your life the best that you can. And that's how me and Dixie what we try to do.
You got one more for me? Is another Shrek? Oh man, I don't want to see this. A Shrek cookie. All right, let's see how it goes in the oven. It's not going to turn out well. I already know it. It's going to be a jump scare, scary blob. There he is, getting baked. Ooh, that's very evil. Oh no. His cheeks are melting. Oh no. Oh no. It doesn't look good for Shrek. Ugh. Just horrible. And such a waste of cookie dough too, because you know that the bottom is all burnt. You can't eat that, and the middle's not cooked enough. I don't want to waste all that cookie dough on, you know, and all that time and effort to make his little vest and his eyeballs and all that. It's too much.
I mean, but if you did it, think about
let her
awesome
cook.
That would be.
Let her cook.
Yeah, you could vlog it for Rumble.
I could vlog it for Rumble.
I think the people want a shrookie.
You let me know in the chat. You let me know in the comments if you would watch a vlog of me making a shrookie. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Nightly Scroll. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. If you want to stick around and join me tomorrow night, you can do it on Rumble. Rumble.com/Hayley is the only place you can watch Nightly Scroll. Of course, if you can't catch us at 6 p.m. Eastern Time live, that is okay. You can watch later on or catch it on your favorite podcast platform. Have a great rest of the night, and I will see you right back here tomorrow.